This is the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with Keith Eister. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook live show. We are winding down the NBA regular season. Keith, we have 6 games on tonight's DraftKings main slate. You and I, like Grande and I last night, were lamenting a little bit about the state of the NBA as we come down the final stretch here, notably just taking a look at the top half of the point guard position where everybody but 2 guards are out for tonight. We have some wacky ownership, some guys we don't necessarily always look to play, some guys we do, some teams we don't like trusting that we may have to tonight. So it's kind of a hodgepodge of a mess of the slate that we got going on here, man.
It always gets wacky around this time of year. Seems like it started a little earlier than normal this season.
Yes.
So, but we are.
Utah's been tanking since October, so you know.
yes. But we are in full blown crazy mode at this point. Absolutely.
Do appreciate you guys tuning in. Crab Shingoon, Spin the Block, some guy, Ebony in here. Ebony was tossing out some bets last night. Hit a few. Appreciate you guys all tuning in. Again, hit that like, share, subscribe button. It's a free way to support the show. Keith, again, just like the injury is playing a huge part into today's slate. Obviously, as you can see here, Tatum and Brown are your top 2 price plays. Giannis, we know, is already out. Giddey, Rollins, Anthony Edwards got ruled out already. KBJ's been out for a while. Siakam, Murphy is out. Portis is out. Bazelis is out. Collier, Keontae's still out. DeJounte Murray got ruled out. They did at least upgrade Filipowski, one of my favorite plays, I think, today, given the state of the slate in that matchup there. We're waiting on the quickly news. Again, now all of Indiana is basically out. They downgraded Ace Bailey, so he's looking like he's gonna be out for Utah today. The Chicago guards, most of them are out. Sexton looking pretty good with Trey Jones. So we'll break it all down for you guys to just understand that this is the type of year where things get crazy. And we're going to do our best to break it down, but you need to stay by the news, basically. Roster locks at 7. You got to be ready. Got to be by your computer or by your phone to make lineup adjustments as they come through, because we could get more guys ruled out as we get closer to lineup block here. Let's see. What do we got? Steve in here, Keith and John. Appreciate you. Ebony said her probably was alive for a minute, then she cashed out when Memphis was up big. That's huge. Ebony had the was going to take Memphis money line. We talked her into just taking Memphis plus 13.5 if she really believed that Memphis, because you wouldn't want to lose like a 6-game parlay because you thought Memphis was going to beat Cleveland. I forget. I don't think Memphis actually covered the 13.5 either, but they were there for a little bit. They were winning for a bit. All right, let's get into point guard, which, again, as gross as it is, there's only LaMelo Ball at $8,700 and Hero at $78 among the top 10 that are actually active for tonight. We do have one guard up over 4,000, up over 40% today. That's Jeremiah Fears. He's at $6,100 today. So are you interested in pending up for Ball or Hero, or are you kind of riding the chalk with Fears and Trey Jones today?
I am definitely interested in spending up on LaMelo Ball. I think as far as real life basketball goes, this Charlotte-Boston game should be one of the better games on the entire slate. Charlotte has a chance to work their way out of the play-in tournament, which would be huge for them, obviously. They are live for the 6th seed. So they would like to win this game. I think their best path to doing that would be a ceiling performance from LaMelo Ball. We're going to talk about an infinite amount of value plays on this slate. What there are not are a ton of spend-up options. Obviously, we're going to have the Boston guys that we talk about, but LaMelo is right there next to them as favorite spends on the entire slate.
Absolutely. And again, you mentioned from a competitiveness standpoint, this is like a 4.5 point spread, I think. 2 teams that are still battling. And, the Celtics, I think, need to win one more to kind of stick themselves in the 2 seed here, while Charlotte's still trying to work themselves around and stay out of the play-in. So I'm good with LaMelo. Miami, Toronto, sort of the same situation. That's a 1 point spread. Those 2 teams are moving around the Eastern Conference standing. So there. But as I said, ownership is on 2 players today. Fears at $61 and Jones at $6,900. If you're looking to spend up today, Jones is 32%. Fears is 42% from what I'm looking at right now.
Yeah, that's the other thing we get this time of year is players that are priced at levels that we're not used to seeing them.
Correct.
And yet they're still grading out as awesome values. That applies to both of these players. Fears has played over 36 minutes in each of the last 2 games. DeJounte Murray and Trey Murphy out again. He should have a very similar role here tonight. That means that he is too cheap for an incredible matchup against the Utah Jazz. Same story for Trey Jones. No Josh Giddey, no Matas Buzelis. Incredible matchup against the Washington Wizards. So I'm having a hard time poking any type of hole in either of those guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other sort of plays as you kind of work your way down? Again, it's not a great position. You have the Pacers, Quentin Jackson's around 10%, Dillingham's 10%, Kennedy Chandler at 5,500 is up over 20%. Any thoughts there?
Yeah, each of those are interesting. I would say I have the most interest in Jackson, just pending who's available for Indiana and what that starting lineup looks like. But presumably he starts at point guard and plays upper 20s minutes. He's a pretty good fantasy per minute guy as well. So I'm interested there. Dillingham is okay. I prefer spending up a little bit to get Trey Jones or Sexton. We'll talk about it the next position.
Yeah.
I'm not
here, man.
What's that? No, there really isn't. Washington is interesting. They just ruled out Trey Jones and who was the other one? Jaden Hardy as well.
Yeah.
So they are down to 9 bodies, I believe, by my count. I don't think that Sharif Cooper is one of the guys that I want to take a shot on. Like typically when they get in these shorthanded situations where they're down to 8 or 9 guys, you'll see 1 or 2 guys pop up for like 38 minutes. I don't think it's going to be Cooper. It has been him in the past, but I think it's more likely to be a Leaky Black or Will Riley, especially.
Yeah, Will Riley looks pretty good for them tonight. All right, let's go on over to the shooting guard position where a lot of these guys do have dual positional eligibility. So not really changing too much of the tune here, but you do have Jaylen Brown at 98, Brandon Ingram at $8,200 as your top 2 price plays. Bryce Sensabot's at $7K. He's been really good of late as well. If we're looking at the top half of this position, where are we looking to spend our money?
Yeah, I mentioned not a ton of spend ups. The Boston guys, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, when we get there, are certainly the top 2. They just keep smashing. Absolutely. JB has been able to find a ceiling alongside of Tatum. If I'm picking between them, I prefer Tatum slightly today. He's just been doing a little bit more peripherally. Covered Boyd him on the playbook today. Yeah. But JB is a fine option as a spend up as well. It is to the point now that Tatum's price has fully adjusted where I don't think I would play them together. I've been doing that a little bit here in the past, but now that they're both around 10K, I think you got to choose one. For me, it's Tatum slightly over JB, but very, very close. Sensabaugh is fine. Like you mentioned, has had a huge ceiling here recently. I don't think I'm going to get to him as much as the field is today, just because there's a lot of volatility there.
Yeah.
Ayo Dosunmu, I think, is an incredible tournament play. Was pretty bad in their last game, but he has shown a ceiling without Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels. Had that one monster performance, has a couple of 40-pointers in there as well. So don't mind Dosunmu even at that elevated price tag.
Yeah, Bryce Sensabaugh's coming in around 20% here. Ayo's around 20% as well. Jaylen Brown, 15%. When it comes to chalk of this slate, Colin Sexton's up over 40%. Again, the Bulls guards here are going to be super popular given everybody who's out of their lineup. But you go through Con 65, Carrington 64, Norm $6,400. You can play Fears here. Cody Williams is someone that's getting a little bit of ownership as well. So thoughts could have been that next group of guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's good chalk that we're talking about. We mentioned Fears already, and then you can add Sexton to it's the same play as Trey Jones, essentially. Those 2 guys should easily lead the team in usage. They're both going to have a ton of shots available to them. So no issues there, even into ownership. I do have some issue with like Williams playing into ownership. I'd rather pivot around that, either jam in more Fears and Sexton or pivot to a guy like Bones Highland, who is coming in much lower owned. Love the matchup for him against Indiana. Has played upper 20s minutes several times without Edwards and McDaniels. So give me the lower owned Bones Highland over a guy like Cody Williams.
Yeah, I'm fully on board there. AJ Green's at 15%. Again, Milwaukee has ruled out a lot of pieces here tonight. 27 minutes for him last game. Didn't do much of anything. Had played better prior to that. Are you getting to any Milwaukee plays against Brooklyn? We actually had Cormac Ryan was the guy we used in the example lineup He's been playing a good amount of minutes and actually scoring the basketball here lately.
Yeah, I am getting to some Milwaukee, and it is not AJ Green. In fact, I prefer Cormac Ryan. I feel like the role is more secure for him. Just seems like he's being evaluated. They know what they have in AJ Green. Yep. He's a floor spacer, not much else. Needs to make a bunch of threes to hit value, where Cormac Ryan has a chance to play upper 30s minutes, I would say. Has been consistently around that 30-minute mark for 3 or 4 games. So I certainly don't mind him.
Sure. Anything else here at shooting guard?
Let's see. We talked Dillingham. Ethan Thompson's another Indiana piece that doesn't feel super comfortable. That's about it.
Okay. Small forward, then we go. JB can be played here. You have RJ Barrett at $7,800. Brendan Miller. Dieng is someone that's quite popular here today, up over 30%. Sadiq Bey looks pretty good as well against Utah, knowing who's out for them with DeJounte and Murphy. What are your thoughts on that 7K and up group?
Yeah, I don't think I can get to RJ Barrett with quickly back. If he gets ruled out, he becomes slightly more interesting, but that's still a tough price tag to pay for RJ Barrett. I feel like a guy like Brandon Miller has a lot more ceiling. So that's where I would push my ownership if I was looking for a lower owned play. Jang is fine. He's just filling up the stat sheet, doing everything for this team. So don't mind that. I think the price tag is about where it should be. I will not get to him at the level that the field is. I would rather go overweight on Sadiq Bey, who has shown incredible ceiling. Anytime like Murphy and Murray are out, he's constantly finding 40 fantasy point games. It's something that's been happening all year long, and I don't see it stopping here against Utah.
Yeah, no, we talked about that last night, Grande and I. It's like he put together a fully healthy season. He looked pretty good doing it, averaging almost 18 points a game, rather, and he's shown ceiling quite a few times here.
Yep.
So I'm with you. A good matchup against Utah for him. And Bay's ownership today is 10%. So you have triple that going to Dang or double that going to Sensabaugh here. The chalky play is Leonard Miller. He's almost 40% tonight. He's all the way down here at $5,100. Good spot here against Washington for you.
Yeah, another pivot up in that high 6K range, Will Riley. We touched on him early, but just wanted to highlight that a little bit further. Absolutely. It's an awesome matchup. I think he's going to play upper 30s minutes in this spot with as shorthanded as Washington is. So definitely want some exposure there. The Leonard Miller play I am fully on board with as well. Chicago extremely shorthanded in a great spot against Washington. Saw him play over 30 minutes with Buzelis out last game. I expect a similar role here tonight.
Yep. Again, a lot of minutes going in that direction. Conchar is getting 15%. We kind of run through this drill with John Conchar all the time. He's had some good games of late. Are you trusting the often light shooting Conchar here?
I'm not. As we're going through this, I'm finding out that I'm going to be severely underweight on Utah. It seems like every play that we've talked about with Utah that's getting ownership, there is a guy on Utah. You have already shouted him out that I'm going to be heavily invested in. These wings that are pretty volatile, I'm not sure that I can get on board with their ownership.
We had an RJ Barrett to the moon comment. He's about 5% on this slate. So if you were getting a little contrarian, you certainly could go there. Pete Nance is around 15% as well. Nance is $5,400, which again, as you said, it's like we're paying $5,400 for Pete Nance all of a sudden. Like when did that happen? So, right. But if you feel comfortable getting there, some people are. And then Andre Jackson's 3,600. He's about 20% as a value play.
Yeah, don't feel real comfortable with either of those. I would have more interest in the 5K range in Leaky Black if he starts. That's a guy that we've seen play 40 minutes in a spot like this before. Just happened last game, in fact. I have no idea what Washington's plan is. All we can do is educated guesses, and
we will at least get the lineup. It is a 7:00 game, so that's a positive.
Yeah, and every time he starts, it seems like he's playing mid-30s minutes. So not a super great fantasy point per minute producer, but if he's playing that many minutes, I have some interest.
Okay. Any thoughts on like Norm Powell or anybody in this Miami matchup?
Miami's fully healthy. Not the best matchup against Toronto, so I'm not getting to a ton. Even like I've looked at Jaquez and Bam, and just like with Powell and Hero and even Wiggins back now, like fully healthy, just a look, they're going to spread it around quite a bit.
Going on over to power forward. Tatum is $10,000 now. Scotty Barnes is 92. Julius Randle is 86 without Anthony Edwards here today. Zion, $7,600. No Murray or Murphy.
Tatum's my favorite play on the slate. The guy is playing incredible. It's happened in a hurry. He is one of the best players in the world, and he is proving it with how quickly he came back from that injury, and just immediately was right back in the fold as one of the best players on the floor every time that he's out there. So I'm not stopping now. He's doing a ton, especially in the last like 3 or 4 games. He's double-digit rebounds and flirting with double-digit assists as well. Was watching some highlights today. Wrote up his over 35 and a half points, rebounds, assists as a prop today. Just absolutely love this spot for Tatum.
Yeah, I actually was about to bet the over 8.5 rebounds is like minus 120, and then I just said screw it. I'll just take the double at plus 120 instead. You know, like at this point, the way he's playing, if he's going to go over 8.5 rebounds, he's probably getting 10. So take the plus money instead of the minus 120, and we'll see if he can get us another double. It would be his 7th in 8 games for a guy coming off a torn Achilles. So pretty wild stuff there for Jason Tatum. And I agree with you. He was a cover, I think he was a cover of the preview show that we did. But obviously an all-around elite play. I also do really like Julius Randle here. Going up against Indiana. They're terrible, obviously, defending in the paint. And no Edwards obviously boosts his whole profile here as well.
Love the Julius Randle shout. I think this is a matchup where he could find that ceiling game. And he's not getting played that much because he's been in this situation. Like prices have kind of adjusted for Edwards and McDaniels being out, but I still think he could find 50 fantasy points here, no problem.
I agree. Anything else in this top half?
Filipowski is definitely somebody that I want to talk about. Guy's just been incredible. If they lose Ace Bailey as well, like he could lead the team in usage. He's live for a double in rebounds. Good fantasy player. Awesome matchup against New Orleans, who gets dominated in the paint. So I absolutely love this spot for Filipowski.
I agree with you. Again, I've been taking the over point prop for him lately, and it's pretty much cashed consistently. We sweated out a little bit on the Houston when it was 16.5. We got the 17 there, but he's been their best player pretty much consistently when he's on the floor. So we talked a lot of these other guys, Dang, Bay, Riley, all fine. Naz Reid generally has some pretty good numbers there when Anthony Edwards is off the floor. Anything else for you? Derek Queen is getting ownership. If they're actually going to play Derek Queen today, I'd be interested.
Yeah, if I love the Naz Reid call out. I'm fully interested in that. He was terrible in their last game, but like you said, his numbers without Anthony Edwards this year look really, really good. I think he's live to play upper 20s minutes, and he can score 40 fantasy points in that amount of time, especially in this awesome matchup against Indiana.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you there. Again, then the Derek Queen thing. I mean, if he's going to play minutes, like he's shown he can be productive, and then there's random games where for no reason he just plays less than 20. So
yeah, if the field's getting there, I'm not all that interested. If he was a low-owned tournament play, like a 6-7% owned guy, then I'd be interested.
No, he's 20.
Yeah, 20%. I'm not going to take that gamble today, I don't think.
Pivot to Yabu?
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I feel better about Miller, but obviously there's more ownership going to Miller than there is to Yabu. So I don't mind Yabu as the lower owned guy. I think Anthony Gill could be interesting as well. Another guy that's played a bunch of minutes with these shorthanded Wizards situations. Another 40-minute guy. I don't think he needs to play 40 minutes tonight, but 34 minutes would not surprise me at all.
Yeah. We haven't talked much of Indiana, but Kobe Brown at $4,400 is getting some ownership as well here.
Yeah, I have my eye on this Indiana situation because I do want to see if Jarris Walker plays. That could kind of muck some things up a little bit. If Walker does play, the guy that I feel best about is Kobe Brown. I think he would still start and play 30-plus minutes. He's been quite good as well. Production might take a bit of a hit with Walker back in the lineup, but I still feel pretty good about that price tag for Kobe Brown. There's a lot of other guys that look pretty good as well that are not as comfortable. Micah Potter being one of those, Obi Toppin being another one. Toppin's minutes have been extended again. That does not mean that they won't pull the rug and play him 14 minutes in the spot.
Yeah, Jarice officially in for tonight.
Yeah, that makes it tough. We'll have to see what the starting lineup looks like. I assume Jarice jumps right back into the starting lineup. They started Potter at center last game. If that happens again, I feel pretty good about Potter. But it wouldn't surprise me if they just go right back to Huff, and then I don't think you can play Potter.
Sure.
But Indiana's interesting. I hate that Walker's in there. That makes me less interested in Indiana.
Okay. Anything else here at power forward?
There's a couple. I mean, I think we can ignore the Nets for the most part today.
I'm kind of with you there. I'm not touching it.
Like Cheney Johnson's interesting. He's probably going to play some minutes, and he's been productive, but it's not for me. There is a guy at the center position that's a little bit cheaper than Cheney, even, who I do think is interesting.
Jocelyn asked Jeremiah Fears or Kyle Filipowski if you had to pick one.
Ooh, yeah, I love them both. If I had to pick only one, I'd probably lean Fears slightly, but I mean, both are phenomenal plays.
Yeah, I like to figure out a way to play them both. They're not overly expensive here, so I think they're good. All right, let's go to center. Bam is $8,800. He's your top price center for today. Goes up against Toronto. Then again, a lot of guys ruled out. So Filipowski, 73. Gobert does get a really good matchup against the Pacers at 72. They downgraded Misi today, so that probably bodes a little bit better for Derek Queen. What are your thoughts, I guess, at the center spot today?
Yeah, I'm not getting to a ton of Bam. I'm preferring to spend up on Brown and Tatum and LaMelo. Those are kind of my three spend ups that I'm using most of my ownership on. I prefer going down to Filipowski, who we talked about. Misi is interesting if he starts and if he plays. If he doesn't, then I do think that Derek Queen has to enter the conversation. The other mid-range play I'm extremely interested in, there's a couple of them actually, but one is Neemias Queta, who has taken a massive leap since Jason Tatum's been back in the lineup. Tatum is just seeing the court so well, and Queta is popping wide open and scoring a ton of points, basically because of Jason Tatum. So massive ceiling on this guy because they've been playing so well together. He's playing way more minutes at this point. Queta has a massive ceiling, even playing next to Brown and Tatum, which if you had asked me if that was possible, I would have said no a couple of weeks ago, but we've seen it consistently now. So you have to believe it at this point.
Yeah, even with Vukovic back, he still played 34 minutes in that last game.
And it's because of how great of a fit that he's been with Tatum, I think. They look like championship contenders at this point.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Obviously, Reese is a big one here. If he's a start, played 44 minutes at a double-double. Pretty much anytime he started, he's put up some pretty big numbers, and this is obviously a really good matchup, too, because Chicago's without the majority of their front court.
Yeah, no notes. I think you absolutely nailed that.
From an ownership perspective at the center position today, Bam is your highest rostered center. I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I'll be significantly underweight. Like I said, it's Toronto's a decent defense, and everybody's healthy for Miami. Hero's in there, Powell's in there, Wiggins is back. Like, could Bam still get there? He could, but give me Tatum and Brown and LaMelo.
You mentioned a Brooklyn player earlier. I imagine that was Liddell here.
It is, yeah. He started and played 30 minutes. If he's in the starting lineup, he's a good fantasy producer, or has proven to be so far. I'm interested there just because he's so cheap. You don't even really need punt plays on this slate because there's so many guys that are just too cheap for their role. But he's absolutely playable.
Yep, I agree with you there. Anything else at center?
Sheboy for Utah is interesting. He's not going to play a ton. He's going to play those 20 minutes basically, but we've seen a 30 fantasy point ceiling out of him in that role. So he was pretty bad last game. I don't mind taking some shots at lower ownership here.
Okay, I'm in. Let's get a little core play build going here. I think we go, at least for now, we do something like Filipowski, Tatum, and then where did we want to go for like the true value? What did we have?
Fears, I think, is a definite piece. Leonard Miller at 51, I think, is too cheap.
Miller's a good shot. It's 51. Would you punt Liddell just to get a double center and give you $6K per play here? Yeah,
there's so many good plays in the 6 and 7K range. If you do that, then you're set up to fill it out however you want to.
I agree. All right, we'll leave it here then. Fears, Miller, Tatum, Filipowski, Liddell, you shooting guard, and forward remaining for you guys here for the example lineup. Questions here. Pirtle, if Mamu and or Murray Boyles are out, would you play Jakob Pirtle tonight?
Yeah, if one of those guys are out, I don't mind it. The minutes have been trending in the wrong direction, but that would likely turn around if one of those guys was out.
Did they rule? Is Spin the Block saying no Reese? He's not playing him, or is Reese not playing tonight?
Maybe not in the. I don't think we have a starting lineup yet. He's not on the injury report.
Yeah, we'll see. If he starts, I'd certainly be interested in there. 0% for Bam, says Douglas. Why am I getting to a ton of Herb Jones? I mean, it's not terrible. If you want to play Herb.
Yeah, he has not played a ton the last couple of games. I would exercise some caution there.
If there's no Misi with no, obviously there's already no Murphy, and like maybe there's some room for Herb Jones.
Yeah, but they've been playing Micah Peavy a ton and Jordan Hawkins as well. Seems like they want to get a look at those guys. Herb's minutes have been under 15 the last 2 games, and even before that, he was in upper 20s. So I would use some caution there.
We can talk about what Cleo Ware did, but again, they're a fully healthy team tonight, so Spolstra's as likely to not play him at all than give him 30 minutes, and we'll have him have a 20-point double-double. So, not really where I'm looking to go there.
So many super strong plays on this slate that I don't think you need to chase things like that.
Randall versus Filipowski tonight.
Close one. Oddly enough, I think I'm leaning Filipowski.
Yeah, I really like Filipowski for sure.
That's definitely the case if Ace Bailey gets ruled out.
I like Trey Jones, and I know that Crab Shangoon also saying any concern with the Bulls who guard roulette. They're so limited today that I don't think you're going to see them. They'll play Dillingham, Jones, and Sexton. They're all going to play minutes tonight, so I'm not too concerned about any of them not meeting value. So I bet the Trey Jones over 18.5 points. So I'm pretty confident in him playing here today. All right, guys, we do appreciate you tuning in. We'll have a preview show tonight for tomorrow's slate. Again, we're transitioning to baseball live shows starting Monday. So this is the final week of NBA live shows. We still have NBA preview shows for the first round of the playoffs. We'll get you guys going for that. But baseball season is here, and we'll be moving on over to the baseball live stream still right at the same time at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So we appreciate all the support, and we'll catch you guys later.